Welcome to the Kind of Funny Gamescast for Friday, August 22nd, 2025. I am Andy Cortez, and I'm joined by Blessing Adeoye Jr.
Played Void Breaker last night.
Oh,
It's a good game.
He
Yeah?
gave you absolutely no credit on Blue Sky about it.
But I did in my Twitch headline. I did say I'm checking out games that Andy Cortez recommended or something like that.
Fucking buries you on Blue Sky, though.
I
damn.
mean, Blue Sky's not like my most followed place. You know
If,
what I mean?
if I'm getting news about Blessing, I'm getting it from BS. That's Blue Sky.
That's Blue
that
Sky,
is Blue
Tim.
Sky, Tim.
By a brand new, freshly verified Blue Sky user.
Exactly. That's me. That's me. Verified. Come on.
That's tough.
Come on. Give it up.
That's really, really
Andy's
tough.
also verified now.
I'm also verified. Okay, well, so you liked it. How long did you play it for?
Only played it for like an hour. I was going to play that and then move on to The King is Watching. And then I tried to... It was a weird thing.
You play that in bed. You play that in bed.
I just couldn't get it to like fit in the monitor the way that I wanted to, because I have a 2-monitor setup, right? So it automatically boot to my widescreen monitor, which I don't capture from. I capture from my
least favorite
regular
thing, yeah.
monitor, right? So I boot it up, and then I try to switch screens, and when I switch it, it's crunched. And then I go to options, and they don't have the settings options for redoing the resolutions, and I couldn't get it to automatically boot into the, you know these problems.
Of course,
You stream.
I know the problems. We're also joined by Greg Miller.
Hello. How are you, Andy?
I'm doing great, Greg. How are you, man?
I'm great. It's good
I'm
to
excited
see
for
you.
Mario Party.
Thank you. I'm excited for Mario Party as well.
I don't really know what they have in store for us.
It
but-
doesn't look good.
Oh.
They have a camera set up in the kitchen and like a bunch of cups out. I don't know what's
Oh, man,
happening.
there we
I
go.
don't know what this
Oh.
means. And I feel like the cups have changed colors since we've been in
They
here.
did
That's
change
true.
colors.
They were
Just making
blue
sure I'm
before.
not crazy.
Yeah.
Just
Man.
making sure I'm
What
not
do you
crazy.
mean?
They were blue cups before.
Oh,
they were
and then
blue cups.
Roger must have been like, well, those aren't the right cups. And check them out.
What
put
are
red
they
cups
saving the
out.
blue ones for?
I don't know. I don't want to know.
We're also joined by Tim Geddes.
We are very excited to be here. Can't wait to talk about this game with y'all.
This is the Kind of Funny Gamescast. Each and every weekday, we get to talk about the biggest reviews, previews, and topics in video games live on YouTube, Twitch, and podcast services around the globe. If you love what we do, support us with a Kind of Funny membership on Patreon, YouTube, Spotify, or Apple Podcasts to get all of our shows ad-free. Watch us record them live and get a daily exclusive show. For a chance to be a part of the show, submit your thoughts and opinions as YouTube Super Chats. I want to know all about your thoughts and feelings in the Super Chats, gamers. Get those started up. Remember, we're a small little baby, 11-person business. We do live talk shows every day. Join us. Watch us talk about video games. It's a fun time. Kind of Funny Games Daily is all about Bungie and their continued woes. And after this is the Kind of Funny Mario Party stream. Let me just read this verbatim. Come join us as we play all afternoon and endure IRL mini games that Mike and Roger have designed for us, all vying for a prize that could change their lives. And yes, we're bringing back the punishment wheel.
I hope the prize that could change our lives is another $25 Outback Steakhouse card, because then I can almost get an entree at Outback Steakhouse.
You might be able to get a little dessert right there. It's exciting. And remember, that stream will be Twitch exclusive. It will not be on YouTube. We will be exclusively on Twitch. So join us over there, please, gamers.
Later on YouTube, we'll try to get it uploaded.
Yeah, later on YouTube. If you're a Kind of Funny member, today's Greg Way is all about why we did those 3 dang Capcom Gamescast this week. Those 3 dang Capcom Gamescasts this week.
I want to hear this one. I want to.
Patreon.com/kindafunny,
Wow.
YouTube.com/kindafunnygames, and Apple and Spotify memberships. You can go grab it.
Thank you to our Patreon producers, Carl Jacobs, Omega Buster, and Delaney the Psalm Twining.
I also talk about this Star Wars nerd that had a meltdown in the comments about me.
Oh, I didn't see this one.
It's all in good
In
fun.
the Gamescast?
No, in the Greg way. He's a supporter.
Oh, great.
I thought it was just a random person with like Darth Maul
Yeah.
as their avatar.
It's like
image or
listening to us
something.
talk about Pragmata, and he's like, I got something to get off my chest.
Today we're brought to you by Factor, Shady Rays, Aura Frames. By the way, I used our promo code to buy an Aura Frame.
Dude, Aura frames are so
Game
fun.
changer.
My parents. Send it to my parents.
I can't get over how much I love these goddamn things.
We'll tell you all about that later. For now, let's start with topic of the show. Metal Gear Solid Snake Eater review. A remake of the 2004 Metal Gear Solid 3 Snake Eater with the same gripping story and engrossing world, now with all new graphics and 3D audio that enhance the jungle atmosphere. Get ready for the ultimate survival stealth action experience. This game was originally released November 17, 2004. Metal Gear Solid 3 Subsistence was released in Japan on December 22nd, 2005, and later in North America on March 14th, 2006. Currently, Tim Geddes, sitting at an 87 on
87. Did you
OpenCritic.
see that there was a mistake in the morning? And it was really low because one site gave it an 8 out of 10. but registered it as a 0.8.
Oh,
shit! So it fucked up the critics score,
Oh,
but they
scary,
fixed that.
scary.
Can I say
Yeah.
one thing?
Yeah.
Jay Rizzle in chat was panicking. Is this a spoiler-filled review or a spoiler-free review? And we talked about this ahead of time, Jay Rizzle and everybody else watching. We are going to go as if no one has. This is a new game. We are going to be spoiler-free until probably after the ad, when we will say, "Hey, everybody, now we're going into spoiler stuff." But we will review this as if you have not played it. So if you haven't played this, you can play it.
If you haven't played it, you can play it. I want to read a couple of different reviews from some of the homies. We have Michael Ham from IGN, who gave this game an 8 out of 10. Go read Michael's review on IGN. Little excerpt says, between its old school stealth action gameplay and engaging spy thriller story, Metal Gear Solid Delta Snake Eater largely succeeds as a faithful, visually impressive remake of the 2004 classic. The GOAT, Tamor Hussein from GameSpot, gave it a 9 out of 10. Woo! Says Konami's Metal Gear Solid 3 remake is a safe but successful modernization of a beloved classic. And we have Hayes Matson from Inverse, who gave it a 70.
Ouch.
Says Metal Gear Solid Delta Snake Eater is a game in an odd place. I get the reverence to the original, especially with series creator Hideo Kojima no longer involved, and the bad blood that ensued between him and Konami. I get the hesitancy to retouch a game considered as one of the greatest ever made, but then I question what the point of remaking Snake Eater is at all, if you're going to try and keep everything exactly the same. I'd like to just get some quick top-level thoughts from some of the gamers here. I'd like to start off with who beat it most recently?
I beat it last night. Yeah,
You beat it.
Yeah,
you
yeah.
were the most recent one.
Yeah,
we
I
were
was- I
set
was-
one code.
last across
Yeah,
the finish
I was
line.
gonna say we should talk about how this is like the Brotherhood of the Traveling PS5 in reviewing this game, because they sent us one code a couple weeks ago, and we had to look at each other and go, "All right, is it possible for multiple of us to beat this game before we actually get to the review?" And I believe the three of us have all beaten it.
We did,
by
yeah.
passing around Greg's PS5 throughout the last 2 weeks.
Yeah,
And
of
that's
course.
the PS5 that Tim almost dropped because Greg scared him the other day.
Exactly. Would have been your own doing.
That's the one. I'd like to start off with Greg since he's most recent on it. Greg, what are some top-level thoughts, and what would you give Metal Gear Solid Delta Snake Eater
Man,
review score-wise?
I feel like top level so hard because I'm ready to diatribe into my nostalgia and everything else. I think it's something that we gloss over since Metal Gear's been on the back burner for so long. So if you're a newer Kind of Funny fan or just tuning in for the first time, you know me as some Ghostbuster idiot or Superman or now the company's biggest Pokemon fan. But all jokes aside, like, Metal Gear Solid is my franchise, my IP. Like, it's a game that every one of the installments has a, like, pillar core memory involved with. So it's so hard for me to talk about these games and not be pulled back into that nostalgia and what Kojima means to me and what the series and Snake and Big Boss and I adored this experience. I was so happy to come back. I think I resonate with so many of the reviews that are saying it's you're playing the game as you remember it, even though the game didn't feel or play like that. I think bringing it into the modern era, it does highlight how small the game was. It does, dropping in all of the new control mechanics does the same thing we saw with Metal Gear Solid Twin Snakes back in the day, where it's like, oh, now this game is incredibly easy, and it's just but that doesn't take away from what they're doing, how much fun it is. I'm not that guy, but beating it last night, it was immediately, all right, new game plus, let's go. Let's go back in with the new suits. Let's go back in. Like, what am I going to work on this run? What am I going to do here? If you've never played a game like this, it is so puzzle roomy of how do I take care of this little area and how do I want to handle it? And it obviously pulled me back to sitting there and how I would play Metal Gear over and over and over and over again. And I'm not going to kill anybody. I'm not going to use a weapon. I'm only going to use a knife. I'm going to do this, blah, blah, blah.
Your own little meta challenges throughout the journey.
Exactly. So I adored this experience. I think there's plenty to critique and talk about. There's plenty of stories to tell here. But for me, yeah, this is a 9 out of 10. This is an amazing game.
You mentioned being reminded of what a smaller experience it was. How long did it take you to beat?
This was at 11 half hours for me. Yeah.
Okay.
But I mean, like, you could easily get through it faster than that. This was me hanging on every word of every codec conversation, enjoying every cutscene. And then it was like, cool, like they've got the new compass in there that shows you this is where you need to go. So I was going the opposite way. I'm looking for frog statues. I'm over there trying to find new things. I'm tweaking, screwing with the enemies a bit and stuff like that.
I'm going to end this little top-down levels with Blessing because you've sat on it the longest, right? You were the first to beat it.
I was the first to beat it.
All right, so let me go next to Tim Geddes. Tim Geddes, where are you at with Metal Gear Solid Delta Snake Eater?
I also beat it. Took me also about 11 hours, I would say, 10, 11, somewhere in there. And had such a great time with this game. I want to start by saying I think that Metal Gear Solid 3 Snake Eater is a must-experience video game in one way or another. Is this the definitive way to play it? I don't know that I'd go as far as saying definitive, but I would say this is the version I would recommend to people going forward of how to experience this game. The gameplay is so good, so iconic, and so classic, and it holds up so well. There's just not that much of it. There's a surprisingly less than I even expected going in for this game, but I don't think that really takes away because the overall experience of this is so tight and overall well constructed that I was just smiling the entire time, and it's so much of it is nostalgia. Like Greg's saying, it's impossible to kind of take out your memories and the history of this franchise and everything, but this franchise or this remake really goes out of its way to like not change anything. For better and worse. And some of the things that they did change, you don't even notice they changed because you expected that that's how it played before, even though it definitely isn't. I booted up the original and really noticing the differences. It's like, oh my God, there was so much that they tuned, and you just don't think about it because even the modern version of this game, there's certain things that don't feel modern, you know? But overall, I would give it an 8.5 out of 10. There's so much about this game that is like, oh my God, best in gaming history type moments and feelings, but critically actually looking at it, especially this version of the game, I think as a remake it succeeds for the most part. There are a couple things that I am very disappointed by, biggest thing being the price. $70 for this I think is insulting, and you compare it to similar remakes to this like Shadow of the Colossus or even Ratchet and Clank does a lot more, the 2016 one, and those were $40 titles. And I think that this should have been a cheaper title. I think undeniably it should have been. Like, you look at the content that is here, you look at how faster you go through the game because of the changes that they made, and it's kind of like, what are we doing when it's the same voice lines, it's the same music, it's the same like everything. It's like it just doesn't feel like a $70 title, and I wouldn't recommend buying this at $70.
Wow. I disagree. I would recommend buying for $70. I do think there's stuff they could have done here. I do think it's funny, you know, again, we talk about this being a 2004 game, right? And then, okay, well, they put out the Subsistence in 2005, and then they put out the Legacy Collection. Then Japan had the 20th anniversary. Like, there's been so many versions of not Metal Gear 3 itself, but being packaged together, that I do find it peculiar that, hey, here's this thing, and in the options menu, there isn't Metal Gear Solid 3 Subsistence, Metal Gear Solid 3 Snake Eater. Play the ports we've already made. We've given you those. I think that would go a long way, too.
I mean, I think that that's an expectation. Like, I can't believe that that's not there. I can't believe you can't, during the game, switch between the legacy style of camera and the modern style of camera, like or gameplay even. You have to just start an entirely new game. The performance isn't flawless on a PS5 Pro. How is that the case for a remake of a game this old, for what they're doing and how little they're changing? There's just enough things that add up to me that I'm just like, for what this is supposed to be, I don't think it hit the mark for all of those things. And it's just like at $70, like that stuff should be a check compared to Resident Evil 2 remake. A very different thing, but like you look at that and you're like, this is a full price remake.
Blessing, you've had the longest time to sort of sit and stew in your thoughts on Metal Gear Solid Delta Snake Eater. Where are you at with it?
Yeah, it's funny because even though I've had the longest time to stew on my thoughts, I think I still ping pong back and forth between, I think, all the impressions that we've heard so far. Going from the thing where I think I start off where Greg started off his conversation there with I'm also in the place where Metal Gear Solid as a franchise, every iteration means so much to me, especially Metal Gear Solid 3. Like, if I go back to my like top 100 lists that I've made on like the GG app and stuff like that, right? Like, Metal Gear Solid 3 has always landed in top 3, and I think top 4 since Tears of the Kingdom came out, right? But like, it's always been one of my favorite games of all time. Metal Gear Solid 3 was also my first Metal Gear Solid game of all time.
Wow.
And that's the game that I credit with getting me into falling in love with video game narratives, video game stories, right? I feel like that was a transitional game for me in my video game upbringing, from going to somebody who was an N64 kid and loved games for gameplay to then hopping into Metal Gear Solid 3 and being like, damn, video games have stories like this. Like, I can really fall in love with these characters and these interactions and like really be in tune with the plot and how that interacts with the gameplay. Metal Gear Solid 3 was a mind-blowing experience for me, right? And so it's an all-timer, top 5 video game of all time. I think for me hopping into this version, the words that I think ring the most loudly for me are where Michael Hyam says faithful and Tamor says safe, right? Like,
Sure.
I think both those words are very accurate to this, which is good on one hand, right? Because if you're remaking this game and you're not taking that many creative liberties, maybe out of fear because you don't have a Kojima, and
Ding,
so you,
ding, 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 ding.
you don't want to mess with it too much because then, like, what if you mess with it in a bad way and people get really mad? I totally understand that. But I also think it then begs the question of, all right, what is this for? Like, is there a reason to actually remake Metal Gear Solid 3? Because I think for me, playing through this version, the modernizations are cool in a way to bring this game forward. Do those inherently make the game better? I don't know. Like, I actually don't know if I would say that. I think I'm with Tim, right? As far as, I don't know if I would say this is the definitive way to play it. It is the most recommendable, right? It is the best looking Metal Gear Solid 3 that there is. Granted, I even look at some of these characters and some of their animations, and I'm like, man, this game was definitely made with the PS2 style in mind, right? I do like that they have like filters and stuff that you can set to like make it feel a bit more like PS2 MGS3. They have like the greenish filter, which I played with for the most part. I actually really like that being there.
Is there also a mode that does the top down?
Yes, they do have like
traditional camera style.
They have like a legacy mode where you can like kind of have that set camera that is more top down, and then they have the modern mode, which is behind the back third person shooter that again is another way to modernize it, but it makes the game a lot easier. And it's a twin snake scenario where it's like, man, this is not the way the game is designed to be played, and now I feel like I am blazing through these. I beat, again, no spoilers, right, but like there are 5 big bosses, no pun intended, right, that are this boss unit in the game, and I blazed the Cobra unit, and I blazed through them in one sitting, and I was shocked. That felt like an eternity when I was a kid, and here I'm like, damn, I just knocked that shit out. That didn't, I feel like the modernizations that you have in this version kind of defeat a little bit of the purpose of like some of those gameplay things that they had back in the day to kind of like reel that shit in. And then also I think there's so much to Metal Gear Solid 3 that is enhanced by the era that it came out in, and the types of games we were getting then, right? And how it fit within the time that we were at in video games in 2004. I think playing the same exact game that is just like visually and, mechanically modernized in 2025 doesn't really hit the same. I still love this experience. I still love the story. I think this is still one of the most iconic games of all time. But if I'm going to give it a score, I'd say I'd give it an 8 out of 10.
Okay. That's a great score right there.
Yeah.
Can I jump in a bit?
Go ahead.
Because this is one of the things I think that I was wrestling with when it was said and done and talking about this, right? Of debating the original versus Delta. And I think there is that conversation and there is the point that I would make that some of the game's charm is lost by coming through and doing this. In the same way, I think Twin Snakes had a problem with that on the GameCube, right? It is that idea of blazing through these bosses and just being able to clown them out. I think, again, if I can take you on a trip, Andy Cortez.
Take me on a trip.
I'd like to go to November 8th, 2011. This is when a Greg Miller at IGN reviewed Metal Gear Solid HD Collection, okay? 2 paragraphs to read. Konami is truly trying to merge classic games with the modern age, and it succeeds for the most part. See, the content of each game is pretty much the same as its original format, parentheses, notable exception, Metal Gear Solid 3's online mode, and the gameplay is exactly the same, -- for better or worse. Don't get me wrong, I love Metal Gear Solid 2 and 3, but Peace Walker's refined controls sing. Moving and aiming at the same time, crouch walking, and using the shoulder buttons for shooting. Knowing that and doubling back to the original game, CQC'd my brain with thoughts of what could have been. I'm sure adding Peace Walker's scheme to games that weren't designed for it would have taken tons of time and broken some elements, but it would have been nice and felt more natural as most modern third-person games controlled this way. So they're taking my paragraph here about this and applying it here, which is great on one hand, but removes, I think, what Metal Gear Solid 3 was originally all about. I finished this game last night, overwhelmed with nostalgia, overwhelmed with feelings, went back and read the EGM reviews for Metal Gear Solid 3 and for Subsistence, right? And in there, Brian Intihar, now, of course, Insomniac's, Spider-Man, talks so much about, like, hey, like, this is a game you take slow. You lay in the grass. You wait for this thing. I wanted to watch Peacemaker last night, but instead I beat this game, started a new save, read these reviews, booted up Metal Gear Solid 3 from the Legacy Collection, and like to jump back into the Legacy Collection and start that up and be like, oh right, you couldn't crouch walk here. Oh right, if you wanted to move and be stealthy, you had to lay in the grass and go. It's like that game takes so much longer to play and beat because of camera angles, of course, but because of design choices in controls. And so I think the charm is lost here to a degree of, cool, now I'm Metal Gear Solid 5ing this motherfucker. So I'm dodge rolling, slide into the thing, pop up, run over. The version they gave us is the deluxe version. So we have the Peace Walker sneaking suit to begin with. So nobody hears my footprints. I'm fucking slaying. You know what I mean? Like, you can just motor around and feel like you're way more in command and in control than I think you. And I know you felt that way in Metal Gear Solid 5, but I felt there was a ramp up to that power. Here, you start off in a game that's not designed for that, right? So you are immediately off to the races of, I can just go, and I'm not having the holy shit, I don't have anything feeling of Metal Gear Solid 3 originally, which was, I gotta eat snakes, and I gotta find weapons, and I gotta scavenge, and I gotta lay in the grass and watch this enemy pattern, and like really live in this world in a way I don't think you need to do here.
Were there difficulty levels in this version?
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Okay, so you could have theoretically made it harder, but what exactly is that changing?
That doesn't
solve
change
what
the
we're
right
talking about right now.
things,
Yeah.
right? And again, it's like what we're talking about is just like, this is just a different experience because they don't change the maps at all. So when you get different perspectives and different movement options, it just there's no difficulty that can like address that. But they also do have the legacy mode, which I think is something that is going to be overlooked overall, because I think the main event of this is the modern version. But after I beat the modern version, I was like, I'm going to start up the legacy mode, and I recommend anyone playing this game, and you guys too, boot it up, play a little bit. The opening sequence feels so much better and way more cinematic in the legacy mode, and it looks beautiful now because it's the same graphics. But the way that they choose the camera to follow you and like guide you through what is essentially the opening of the virtuous mission of this game, the first hour of gameplay, but really the first 3 hours of the goddamn game, is a straight line with like one donut of a circle with enemies that you're facing off against. And in modern mode, it feels like that. And every single section you get to has like a loading screen giving you the name of the section. Like, they wanted to be faithful to the original, and like that's great, and I think it actually does work. But in legacy mode, it feels like a movie. It feels like purposeful in a way that I think is it really highlights that difficulty options can't solve what is actually a direction problem.
Well, yeah, the old school design is essentially like Zelda type dungeons where your view is obscured because you don't know what's in the next room, and a lot of the challenge can be taken away when you just kind of like, all right, I know what I got to do. I see everything, and when it's room by room based, when you go up to the top of the screen and then it switches to the next thing, then you're presented with a new challenge, and a lot of that gets taken away.
This goes back to the boss fights and everything we were talking about, right? Because I was in the same camp as Bless, where I was just clowning these out. I was like, holy shit, I remember these being way tougher, and it wasn't until the final battle, no spoilers, but where I was like, I remember this being such a thing, and now thanks to first person, the ability to move way quicker, wherever, it literally is just like post up and look, okay, bam, bam, and I'm like, oh man, this is like, not only are you not a threat, it takes away from like the character you were, but again, it's legacy mode, it's this, it's that, and I think this is one of my reasons of staying at the 9, even though we can talk about all these different things for it, is that finishing it quicker than the original game and then wanting to jump back in, I'm not that guy anymore because of the way we review, and I won't get another playthrough out of this because I'm right on to Redacted for a week from Monday, right? So it's like, but I want to. Like, and I haven't had that feeling with a game in a long time of like, I would gladly run another New Game Plus and do a no-kill mode and see whatever. Like, when you can go in at the end of the theater, the cutscene theater or whatever.
Cool. It's super cool.
Yeah, what is it?
So, you watch every cutscene of the game, right?
Okay, yeah.
Cool. But when you do it, it's you as Snake running on basically like a giant LED floor, I would call it, with like the tiles, the thumbnails. So you run to it, but it also shows you the blacked out ones of like, you didn't get this cutscene because you didn't do X, Y, or Z, or you could have done. And I would be like, if in another world where I was on the outside and this was dropping and I still worked at a newspaper or whatever, I would be all about, I'm going to unlock everything. I'm going to go do this. I'm going to unlock every outfit, every camo, every face paint, every name. Like, I feel like Metal Gear, and again, this is just who I am and probably my legacy with the IP. Metal Gear for me is so much more than just a one playthrough game. Like, you talk about Metal Gear Solid 1, you talk about Metal Gear Solid 2, you talk about Peace Walker, you talk about games that like I obsessed about and just did everything in. Said I would in 5, but never made it to the platinum, right? But you know, like, that's how I consume these. So it's so much more than an 11.5-hour campaign for me and who I would be playing this.
How long was it for you, Bless, real quick?
It's about
Before
10 hours.
Okay.
Yeah.
And jumping off of that too, it's like I want to be clear that, like, yes, the modern stuff like makes the game a lot easier or whatever. That doesn't take away from the experience being incredibly high quality. Like, I loved it so much that, to me, when it comes to remakes and remasters and all that stuff, like the real key thing of did they nail this or not is the color profile. Like, did they nail the vibe of the original? And I think that's a big problem that Twin Snakes had. In addition to being too easy, it didn't have that gritty green and teal and dark shadows look that MGS1 had. And so the
Way too anime.
feel of that game changed, right? In a bad way. And I've talked a lot about Crash Bandicoot Insane Trilogy not having the crunchy blacks and like all of the things that really defined the visual identity of those games. And this game nails it. The legacy, the filters that they add are incredible. I am very impressed with the legacy filter, which makes this look all green and yellow like the original did. And it goes so far to making this feel like a worthwhile way to play this game. That's not just, oh, it's 2025 pretty now. That exists too. You can just have the normal mode and it looks like what we're looking at now. And that works great too. And I flip back and forth, but like there's something undeniably authentic about how it used to look and looks now with that legacy mode, and being able to switch them on the fly, I was very happy with, and I'm a little surprised that you can't, from the gameplay perspective, change between legacy and modern. But my takeaway after playing this, you saying that, oh, you like to play the Metal Gears in all over and over. There's so much replayability to this if you want that. But my first thing finishing this game was I want every Metal Gear in this style. Like, I think that's a big thing. Is like I'm not negative on this. I'm negative on the price of it, but like overall, it's like this is a amazing way, especially to replay Metal Gear games where I do just want the thrill. What a thrill.
What a thrill
of the story and experiencing the moments again. And sometimes, like Bless was saying, like some of the character models, it looks a little goofy seeing such a realistic looking character do the, you know, like ocelot stuff. But also, it's like, I don't know that it's different. I don't know that it's worse because it was weird then too. Yeah. And it's just like, now it's just a different type of weird, but I'm all about it. I dug it a lot. And like, I would love to see all of the weird moments of the different games in this style. Like, I really hope that they continue this.
And hopefully we can get to some of those weird moments after a word from our sponsors.
Between busy schedules and summer plans, sometimes all you got is a couple of minutes. Factor helps so many of us here at Kinda Funny eat smarter with tasty, chef-prepped meals that are dietitian-approved and delivered right to my door. And now, with more than 65 weekly meals made for how we live and what I like to eat, we've got even more ways to fit in a real meal wherever the day takes us. On many occasions, Factor has completely saved Greg and Jen when they needed it most. Choose from a wider selection of weekly meal options, including premium seafood choices like salmon and shrimp at no extra cost. Eat smart at factormeals.com/kindafunny50off and use code kindafunny50off to get 50% off your first box, plus free breakfast for 1 year. That's code kindafunny50off at factormeals.com for 50% off your first box, plus free breakfast for 1 year. Get delicious, ready-to-eat meals delivered with Factor. Offer only valid for new Factor customers with code and qualifying auto-renewing subscription purchase.
This episode's brought to you by Shady Rays. You know that moment. The one when you realized you left your favorite pair of sunglasses at the beach. We've all been there. I'll never forget leaving my incredibly overpriced sunglasses at a restaurant in Santa Monica. That was 13 years ago, and it still haunts me to this day. But then I found Shady Rays and everything changed. Seriously good looking, polarized, durable, and not stupidly expensive. And here's the wild part. If you lose or break them, even on day one, Shady Rays will send you a brand new pair. No guilt trip, just replacements. So now you can actually wear your sunglasses without fear. Y'all know I've been outside in the sun a lot playing Pokemon Go, and it's such a great experience wearing Shady Rays when I'm all out and about. Shady Rays is eyewear that has your back. We've teamed up with Shady Rays to bring you an exclusive offer. Check this out. You can head to shadyrays.com, use code FUNNY for 35% off polarized sunglasses. Try for yourself the shades rated 5 stars by over 300,000 people. Shady Rays, use the code FUNNY. This episode is brought to you by Aura Frames. Aura Frames are the perfect way to relive your favorite memories that you created throughout this beautiful, beautiful summer season. No lie, Aura Frames are undeniably the best gift I have ever given. Family, friends, partners, everyone loves being able to have beautiful frames showing off their loved ones and their favorite memories. Aura Frames are incredibly smart and easy to use, allowing you to upload unlimited photos and videos directly from your phone to the frame. Plus, the coolest thing, you can order the frame online and preload it with photos and videos using the Aura app. So it's ready to go right out of the box when you give it to someone. There's unlimited storage, so you can store as many photos and videos as you can find, and it's so simple to set up. Start reliving your favorite memories by visiting auraframes.com. For a limited time, listeners can get $35 off their best-selling Carver matte frame. That's AURA frames.com, promo code KINDAFUNNY. Support the show by mentioning us at checkout. Terms and conditions apply. auraframes.com, kinda funny.
Tim, you wanted to address some haters?
It's not haters.
Oh,
not haters.
It definitely was not a hater comment at all.
because of our computer
Kept you waiting, huh?
broke, but we fixed it. Hopefully, we had a chat from one of the EV evolutions asking about the perspectives.
You nailed it.
Flareon, right? Or
Huh?
was it Flareon?
I made
But
a
it had
Vaporeon reference. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
It was a
Umbreon?
pun with a name or something. Anyways, they were saying that they saw Giant Bomb switching perspectives during gameplay, like on the fly or whatever. You can switch perspectives from third person to first person, but you can't switch between modern mode and legacy mode, and that's the perspective of the game. So legacy mode is like the original game. It's more top down, and like you're not like following Snake's back all the time. Sometimes you are, but it's like you're not really in control of the camera when you
There's no
move
back shots.
R3. There's some when you move R3, it kind of just like gives you just some camera control, but not like full 3D camera control of everything.
When you switch, you have to, it basically reloads from the last save, right?
I don't think you can even do that.
I'm pretty sure you can, yeah.
That would definitely. I mean, that would change.
I'm fairly sure. Yeah, when you
this.
do it, it just reloads from the last save. Because I'm pretty sure I did it. I did it between because I did do Virtuous Mission with the Legacy, and then maybe it's just I was early enough in the game, but like after the Virtuous Mission, going into the actual mission, that's when I switched to Modern. I just played Modern from there.
Interesting, because the option's not even there in the menu. So you'd have to. For me, the only time you see the option that I saw was when you start a new game. Otherwise, when you go into the menu, it's just changing the filters.
Fascinating. There's some confusion here because I was typing in some notes and I put performance mode or quality mode. What did you all play on? And Greg said, Andy, there are no options. And I said, Greggy, there are on the base PS5. The PS5 Pro just does quality
I'm
mode.
not one of these pores.
Up to 60 frames per second.
I'm just kidding. I got mine for free.
I wanted to read a couple of super chats. We have Deshaun Fortune with a $20 super chat. Very, very generous. Thank you for the support. Says, I get their fear about remaking this game, but they should have changed up the level design to fit modernized gameplay. At least they'll have no choice but to do that. With Metal Gear Solid 1 and 2. Hopefully Peace Walker is next, Greg.
Yeah, I would love that, but no, it won't be. I disagree. I feel like we all know the gamer eyes were on this. Are they going to scrub Kojima from it? Are they going to fuck up his legacy? Are they going to, like, if you would have come in here and redone the map and done so, like, people would have lost their shit in a negative way. And so I think this was, hey, here we are respecting what Hideo Kojima has done. We're modernizing and giving you the controls and bringing this to a new generation of gamers who've only heard about how great this is. And I think from here, whatever the next step is, which I would imagine would be Metal Gear Solid 1.
Well, see, I mean, this is a big conversation, but my
Let me get
hope
that.
would be, and this is kind of like the, hey, we're proving to you that we're respecting Kojima's vision and we're doing that. My hope would be the next game would be Metal Gear 1 and 2 made by them. That is a newer thing, like a remake
Sure.
of the original old school 2D games that we just never got.
Yeah.
That is risky though, because then you actually need to flesh out story and write a lot more dialogue and do a lot more things. And without Kojima, will it hit? Will it not? I don't know, but I would like to see that because I think that would allow them to not be beholden to what came before. Exactly, because you're adapting 2D to 3D.
And we'll see what the, I guess, directive would be there from Konami, because this is developed by Virtuos, and Virtuos usually is support on a buttload of different games. In the last 5 years, they've done, they did support for BioShock Collection on Switch. They did support for Cyberpunk 2077. In 2021, they worked on Outriders. 2022 was Callisto Protocol, Midnight Suns, Nier Automata, the Switch version. 2023, AEW Fight Forever.
Hey.
That one came out. They also worked on Hogwarts Legacy port on PC. They did Mortal Kombat 1 on PC. Suicide Squad in 2024. Kill the Justice League. That was a banger. South Park Snow Day as well. Remember that one?
Yeah.
Can't
Man,
forget.
this list of games,
Yeah,
man.
this is a motley crew of games. 2025, they also worked on Oblivion Remastered, and then they had a bunch of layoffs as well.
I was gonna say we learned recently that there's thousands and thousands of people that work at Virtuous, because there was an article that was like they laid off 5% of their workforce and it was 200 people.
Yeah.
There's a
So
lot
for
of
the
people.
record, I'm in the game right now via remote play. You can switch.
Show me.
So the thing is they don't put it under gameplay. They put it under gameplay. So the play style from new style to legacy style. It's confusing because you would think that they would have this in the visual section since it's a visual thing, but it's an overall style. So when you come back, it changes.
Well, that's great.
everything.
Good for them.
Yeah.
Good for them.
So now it's worth $70.
No, it's still not. It's still not. No, I mean, I just like, yeah, it's like I really think that a different price for this game would really go a long way.
And to kind of just go further with the whole with Virtuos as a studio and support developer, I got to watch some of the Digital Foundry videos, sort of breaking down what's happening tech-wise, because it seems like there's a lot of issues tech-wise happening with this game. It's another Unreal Engine 5 game. Seems to be another kind of troubled Unreal Engine 5 release where it just maybe is going to take a long time to get it to where it needs to be to just be running super flawlessly. But if you play on the base PS5, it has performance mode, and that ranges from the dynamic resolution will change based on how crazy the scenes are, and that is the dynamic resolution goes from 720p to 1080p. And if you play on quality mode, it ranges. That's a 30 frame per second locked mode, and there's less pop in on the ground. There's better shadows. It just visually looks better, locked at 30 frames per second, and that ranges from 1080p to 1584p. Very odd number to choose there. PS5 Pro doesn't have any of those options. It is just the PS5 Pro mode, and that uses Pisser. It uses the PSSR
Yeah, it
rescaling.
does.
That is supposed to be 60 frames per second, ranging from 756p to 1152p, and then again the Pisser and all that will try to rescale to 4K if possible, but that's the internal resolution. The problem is it just rarely ever hits that, and it seems like there were plenty of performance issues, whether you were doing even on quality mode, trying to get 30 frames per second, drops to 25 frames per second, which is a decent amount of frames whenever you are that low to begin with. But the performance mode on base PS5 dropping from 60 to 40, PS5 Pro dropping from 60 to 40 to 30 in some cases. Cutscenes are locked to 30 frames per second on the base PS5, but they are 60 frames, up to 60 unlocked on the PS5 Pro, even though there are plenty of... It's rarely ever a consistent 60 frames, it seems, which was kind of the whole point of this PS5 Pro. And it's more expensive now, which is also one thing to consider. It's a weird state of affairs we're in with Unreal Engine 5 games, maybe just releasing way too soon.
Yeah, there's a lot to break down here. First off, like I don't blame the PS5 Pro here. I blame the game here.
Yes.
Konami!
Second off, it's like I just want this clear. Like these issues, they are issues. I was saying it's like it is unacceptable for a remake of an old game, like where the whole point is this is the best looking and best visuals and all that stuff, to not be hitting these industry standard numbers. Like it's unacceptable. Having said that, it really does not affect your game at all. And I really think that the vast majority of players, even people that care about visuals, playing this game, if they don't have a frame counter up at the top of their screen, they're not going to notice.
Okay.
As a big old idiot, as we all know I am, I think at one point I saw it like being framey, and I was just like, oh, I haven't restarted the game in a while. Like I thought it was me moving between, like, you know, leaving it suspend mode, coming back to it and stuff like that. Like,
okay.
I didn't,
But it wasn't enough I noticed. You know, it wasn't enough for me to call out of just like, oh man, why is this not running perfectly?
Yeah, it seems like there's a lot of issues in that one area where you meet the old gunslinger Hatsalot, having, you know, because there's a lot of NPCs there, a lot of enemies to fight, a lot of explosions, and PS5 performance mode, which is supposed to be hitting 60, was just chilling and around 30 for a lot of those sections with, you know, drops with explosions. Whenever there's something big on the screen, it just really bums you out because what, you know, it's performance mode. We are sacrificing visual quality, and it reminds me of my time playing Jedi Survivor and playing that in performance mode and booting up and be like, holy shit, this is the blurriest looking image I've ever seen, because it's trying to hit 60, and because it's trying to hit 60, it's going to give it to you at 540p or something, up res, and it's just like, ooh, the image quality is not great here. But how did y'all feel about image quality? Were y'all playing on monitors, TVs?
I was playing off a monitor. We all played off of Greg's PS5 Pro, and I thought it looked, like, in terms of fidelity, I thought it looked great.
Okay.
I was actually kind of impressed, but also, like, I usually don't play off of the PS5 Pro. I still own just the base PS5, and so I'm sure that had a level of something to do with it, where I'm looking and I'm like, damn, Ocelot looks crisp. I don't know if I want him to look this crisp, but this man looks
jarring.
This man looks sharp.
Tim, how'd you feel about visual fidelity?
Image quality, I think, was a similar thing to the frame rate, where it's like majority of the time I didn't notice any problem at all. Every once in a while I would notice, I'm like, why? Like, there shouldn't be any of this. But there were more than a handful of times I would see things and just textures didn't look as high res as they should. And yeah, that's the type of stuff that takes you out from this type of remake.
Yeah, I played across a monitor, 80-inch television, and PlayStation Portal, and I thought it looked great throughout. And I didn't use any of the filters. I know Haim did. I know you were talking about
I used
doing
the filter
it as well.
yeah.
Yeah. I didn't even toy with them until last night when I was done with everything.
I will say I didn't like looking at the game without the filter.
Yeah.
When I was playing in like the I guess default mode, I think there was a little bit of like, man, this doesn't feel, there's an energy. Like, this is the most a filter has affected a gameplay experience for me, is what I'll say. Because adding in the green original MGS3 thing did so much for me being like, okay, we're back.
It's an artistry thing.
Yeah.
Like, it was a very...
I'm surprised that wasn't the default thing.
Yeah.
And I'm curious to see, like, when people get their hands on it, is that going to be a thing that a majority of people who like the old game end up switching on? Because, I don't know, there was something that felt a bit swaggerless about the default mode.
I mean, it's a very deliberate choice to have the color grading look that way. Any cute stuff with DualSense?
No.
DualSense doing nothing cute? Damn.
Nothing special. I mean, it vibrates a lot.
Yeah.
It does vibrate.
Okay.
If I can go back, I want to give a hot take prediction, because we're talking about, you know, do they remake other Metal Gear Solids and all that stuff, right? I think this remake for MGS3 is so safe and so faithful that I would bet my house I don't think they ever remake a Metal Gear from Virtuous in this way, or like a original MG or MG2, or even Metal Gear Solid 1. My hot take prediction, remake Twin Snakes the exact same way you did this one, then remake MGS2 the same way you did this one, and then port 4. I think that's what they do.
I feel like this is Konami trying to do right by Metal Gear fans and trying to win back goodwill so that they can either do Metal Gear Solid 6 or Metal Gear, whatever they want to codename it, or go and tackle. We're redoing Metal Gear Solid, and it'll be the same story, but we're gonna blow open the levels and we're gonna do everything and make it a big game.
I just think this game is an indicator that they don't want to touch a thing.
See, I think this is them being like, see, we did it and we know what we're doing. And like Jordan Midler's VGC review, I thought had just a couple lines there that I thought were interesting. But he's like, he called out the fact of like, it's also the people believe that everyone went with Hideo when he left, and that's not true. A lot of the people who worked on this game actually worked on it originally, and that's one of the reasons it's kept the DNA. And I think if Konami runs with that messaging and hey, we did this and now we want to respectfully do something else, I think they get more leniency.
This is an awesome super chat from Koba. $5 super chat. Thank you, Koba, for your support. It says, I've only played this on the 3DS, and it was amazing.
Yeah.
I'm looking forward to finally playing this on the big screen.
Yeah, for sure.
What a treat that's going to be for you.
That's what I will be fascinated about. I can't wait, and I want you all to write in via Greg Ways or wherever the hell you can. Just BS me. That's Blue Sky. And let me know if you are playing Metal Gear Solid 3 for the first time and it's Metal Gear Solid Delta. When you're done, how do you feel about it?
Yeah,
Because all the things
really
we're
like to
calling
know.
out and doing, like, even for me, like the notes I put of like that we haven't called out, like the new, right? Of like having the codec on the D-pad so in like you can quickly go to it right away. Having the camo on the D-pad so I can quickly go to it right away.
Oh,
Like,
one thing I wanted to bring up. The fucking healing and like the curing, like the fixing your wounds and all that shit. Did this version in like up that stuff like way more? I don't remember getting injured this much.
you were just way better back in the day.
Maybe because like I feel like I was fixing
pretty
my
good, kid.
I was fixing my wounds like every combat
Constantly in
sequence.
this, yeah.
Constantly.
No, I in the theater of the mind, I remember it like this, and then reading the EGM reviews from back in the day, they were calling out that like, I know it sucks to have to stop and do this all the time, but so they were doing it as much. It's funny, I think that's that's one of the things of a game from 2004 of like, what an interesting idea that, and now that I'm playing it, and especially playing it now, as again, I think you lose the charm of being slow. Metal Gear Solid 3 Snake Eater, I think, is a slow game, right? By choice, by design. Whereas now, everything's faster, including what I just complimented. Switching my camo, doing calls, rolling, blah, blah. Then you get injured, and I go into this menu, I'm like, this doesn't feel additive to the immersion anymore.
Yeah, you just go in right, X, right, X, right,
Yeah,
X.
and it's also like, it's like it doesn't matter what order you do it in.
Yeah.
Where it's like suture first, then disinfect. It doesn't matter. Who gives a shit?
Were there any things you experienced that maybe didn't hit quite as hard as you remember them hitting as a kid?
I want to jump off of that in a roundabout way, but getting there. So similar to what Greg and Bless said, Metal Gear Solid, a very important franchise to me. Metal Gear Solid 3 has always been the one that, of the Solid games, that I enjoy the least, or that I like the least. Still love it, but I have always preferred Solid Snake story. I don't really like older things. That tends to be a thing about me. And this kind of having the more analog type
hates
codec.
Nick.
And that's true.
Fucking
That is really
shit,
true.
man.
So there's a lot of stuff that, like, story-wise, how simple this one is, the boss characters and all that stuff, some of the best in the franchise. But as an overall package, I've always looked at this as my least favorite. And I was going into Delta very curious on if that would change. And I feel like coming out of it, it has not changed. But it really has made me want them to remake the other ones, or at the very least want to replay the other ones. Like, this game gets you wanting Metal Gear, man. Like, it really gets you wanting. I've been watching Metal Gear videos. Yep. I am back in that. I replayed one a couple years ago on the Steam Deck and had such a great time. But I'm like, do I have to do two? I want to definitively know, what do I think? Because I have a feeling that playing this, it is how I remember it. And so it doesn't really change my personal rankings.
Oh,
but
damn, I was going to ask that.
But I think if I replayed 2, maybe I'd like it better than 2 at this point. Like, I do think that there's room for these things to change. And Lord knows about 4, which is like my personal favorite. I know it's not the best. But if I were to replay that now, front to back, it probably would be under this.
Okay, but if they remade 2 and then you're doing third person behind the back cartwheels as riding, like, that's just sick. That shit's sick.
But I do feel like the biggest thing for me is I was surprised by how Bless was saying how fast it all goes. I can't believe, like, I think back at this like troop of the Sons of the Boss or whatever, and the Cobra unit, and they're, in my mind, so fleshed out, some of the most well-written characters in video games and stuff.
Yeah.
Each one of them, it follows such a simple pattern of just like, they just show up out of nowhere, do some cool-ass entrance, have a gimmick boss fight that is either incredibly interesting or not interesting enough, and then have a soliloquy of just like, here's some poetry about my background, and now I'm dead. And then just on to the next one. And it's so charming and simple, but it's so funny how it just didn't hit the way I thought it would.
Yeah.
It hit a different way. And by the time you get to the end of the game, I was shocked at how much I was like, wow, I regard this as like one of the best stories in video games. How the fuck did I think that? There's like no story. And then you get to the last like 30 minutes and it's just like, oh, here's everything. The story. Here's the entire story. This is one of the best stories ever, man. Like, they just win you over. So it's like, I was very surprised from my experience before to playing it now. A lot of what I expected to be one way was a different way, and overall, I'd say that was a positive experience.
Yeah, I want to jump off that because for me it was the same thing, right? Where this goes back to my point about this game coming out on PS2 during that era was such a different thing from them playing a modernized version today. Where I think playing this game in 2004, yeah, the story was fucking dope, right? Having this cast of characters that would pop up and like have these speeches and have these unique boss fights that weren't just, you know, shoot them until they're dead. They were a level of, all right, you got to dodge him this way, or you got to have a sniper battle or whatever, right? Like that shit being so involved back in the day, I think did so much for how elevated this felt compared to other games at the time. But I would have thought the same thing as Tim, where coming into this, the boss battles are for sure going to be the best part. The end, and I guess we're going into spoilers now?
Yeah, let's go full spoilers from here on out with stuff.
Please.
Going into spoilers
This is
now.
spoilers, everybody. This is spoilers, everybody. Rest of the show.
Yeah, so
The fight against the end, I've always considered maybe the #1 boss fight of all time in my heart. For me, that was the boss fight where I was like, damn, it doesn't get any better than this. I think back to playing that back in the day and it taking me like even maybe a couple of days to get through it, right? Because it didn't have guides. I like took me a little bit to learn about using the microphone thing and like figuring out where his positioning was. And that felt like, and that was before I even played like battle royales or shooters or anything, right? So that felt like such a, damn, this is what it's like. Like it's a sniper fight, blend in the jungle, all this shit. And that was so special to me as a kid. Playing this version of the end felt like elderly abuse, right? It felt like one of I clipped that motherfucker so quickly. Like, dude, when I played this back in the day, I remember there being a portion where like he had got me, and then like he was like, "I'm not gonna kill you. I'm gonna carry you back. That way, like you can heal, and then come fight me when you're ready," kind of thing, right? He didn't even get that chance. Like he tried to sneak up on me toward the end, and I looked back, and I was like, "Boom, you're fucking dead."
So now we're spoilers. How long? How long did the fight take you this time?
10 minutes.
Yeah, because I mean that was the thing. If you remember Metal Gear Solid 3 before that end fight, a lot of people were like, "It's an hour long. You're doing all these different things." I remembered that fight that way being long or whatever. And this is a time where I was like, "Well, I'm gonna do I've never done it before. I'm gonna let him die of old age." And so I went in and reset my PlayStation clock.
fun.
Oh, nice.
I love that.
They say a week, but I went a whole month just to be careful
Just
or
to be
whatever.
safe, yeah.
And yeah, then you start the fight back up, and he's just dead, right? I'm like, oh man, I never got to see that back in Metal Gear Solid 3 because, to Tim's point, Metal Gear Solid 3, a game I love, and I love every Metal Gear, is at the bottom of my list too for similar reasons. Where I was just like, oh, I love Solid Snake. I wanted to go with that, and I wanted to see where that story was going. Going back didn't work for me. I also even back then didn't find the bosses engaging in the same way I thought Psycho Mantis was fucking awesome or Vulcan Raven was fucking awesome. And this is just preferences, obviously. But obviously the boss. Never talking shit about her. Never talking shit about her. So like Metal Gear Solid 3.
Can I talk shit about her for just 1 second?
Metal Gear Solid 3 is the one that I haven't gone and replayed and replayed and replayed. And like Metal Gear Solid 1, I played, I don't even know, dozens of times, right? Metal Gear Solid 2 had it all memorized, every dog tag. This one not having that, coming back in was such a breath of fresh. Oh, did we crash again? Oh, we're here. Are we dying? Are we okay? Okay.
You're good.
Coming back in here, I started this one in a very similar way to Tim of just like, is this going to change my rankings? Is it going to? And it didn't change my rankings. Still at the bottom of a list of amazing games, but it gave me a newfound respect for this. And again, finishing it this time and wanting to go back, I think is because it plays so well with all these new things. Granted, they may break the system, or whatever, but I find this more fun to play and do when I want to experiment with all those permutations.
What a perfect way for people to jump back and kind of just experience. For brand new people who were never into Metal Gear Solid, and even now going, but old game's old, it doesn't look great, it kind of runs a little bit odd, and it's
and again
totally archaic gameplay for that time. And I hate using the word archaic because like I think that style still works, but it's just not what you would expect from a game nowadays.
And that's true for a lot of just the actual like gameplay mechanics and stuff. But like I really want to give a shout out to, again, the limited gameplay in this, but like every little kind of puzzle box area you get is brilliant in this game. Like it is so good, and you have so many different things you can do where it constantly feels like I'm doing something that I didn't even know the game had, which is awesome. Going on the boss real quick.
The boss.
I love the boss, and the final bits of it are just So perfect. This
Snake,
game was
I'm
the...
now going to tell you exposition for 20 minutes.
It's
and
so funny.
I'm clearly just reading this, and I don't even feel it, Snake. What about this, Jack? I'm like, all
You're
right.
just gonna stand there and Solid Snake says, or Big Boss says nothing, not a single word, and just listens to it all. I love it. But again, it's that campiness that it's so fucking great. And the end of this game is just straight up cheating. Hey, let's just have the Yoji art in the background telling this incredible story that we didn't tell throughout the game, and the music is just so goddamn good, and it's making sense of everything, and like it's so sad that he had to kill his mentor, and oh my god, and the salute at the it's like iconic. All of this is so good, but it's so funny to me that this game is a prequel to the games that we played, and the game doesn't give us the boss's relationship with Snake until they're telling us at the end, and they tell us throughout the game. But the funniest thing, Bless and I were talking about this, is you start the game and CQC is like the whole point of this game. This game really needed some flashbacks with him and the boss throughout the game, showing them learning or creating CQC and all that stuff. Like there's, for as amazing as the story is and characters are and stuff, I think there's some major missing things here that like kind of make it feel a little like, all right, yeah, the end of this is awesome, but the twist at the beginning of the boss showing up on the bridge, it hits because we know it hits because the end.
Right. Yeah.
But it could have hit so much better if it was written differently.
Yeah.
And I feel like that's something that back in the day I would have just dismissed and been like, no, it's fucking perfect. But it's like, really? It's not.
Damn, you're questioning Kojima. That's crazy.
Another thing I'll
You're not
say,
wrong, though.
again, this is jumping off of that and also jumping off of the question of
Jump
like,
off all of it.
I'm jumping off all
Jump
of
off
it,
the
right?
bridge.
Do.
But yeah, to you asking like things about this game that you expected to be better, that you're coming back and like kind of realizing that maybe it didn't hit as well for you,
And
right?
vice versa.
And
We
vice
get the other
versa.
ones, too.
But one of the things, this is coming off of Death Stranding 2, actually, right? And this is talking more about Kojima.
Should we have connected?
Should we have connected? This is talking about Kojima experiences in general. I've had conversations with friends who view Kojima a certain way because of his depiction of women. And like, it's funny because I'm usually the only person in the group that's played Kojima games. And so like, I'll try to jump in his defense of like, but like, you know,
She breathes through her skin.
yeah, like I'll never defend that, right? But I'm always like, but you know, MGS2 had these women. Oh man, MGS3 has Ava, it has the boss. Like, there's strong women characters, right? And like, jumping into this game, one of the things that they hit you with early on is a screen talking about like, this game was made at a certain time, like, you know, we've not edited anything. And I'm like, I don't remember there being anything like super offensive or whatever. And I don't know if that's referring to what I'm about to say, but like, jumping into this, it's funny because some of those friends I recommended, you should play MGS3 Delta when that comes out. I'm going to go to them and be like, hey, maybe not.
What's this R1 button do? I'm just staring at tits.
I'm gonna
Just
stare.
staring at titties.
I'm gonna
That's all.
stare
Button, dude.
at
That's all
Ava's
that it
titties.
is.
There's so much groping going on in this game. Like, there's so much weird shit here where I'm like, I don't remember it being like this. And yeah, like that's definitely one of those things where I'm like, yeah, I guess a lot of time games don't age well or stories don't age well, and we have rose-tinted goggles because
that's why
that jumped out at me.
you all remember the game being longer because of that. Staring at titties for so long. I have a super chat here from Aaron Lime, $10 super chat. Thank you for your generosity. Says Okamura also said this game was a way to train new in-house staff. Only about 1/3 of the team left to follow Kojima, but the old Koji Pro guys are getting up in age and want to pass on knowledge. $10 super.
Yeah.
We have a $10 super chat here from Mando Delgado, who says, all this does is let me know that the stealth genre is starved. There are people who want a proper stealth game. Hopefully, Kojima's new Fizzant title paves a way for stealth eras like we once had.
100%. I want to read this part. I've been trying to insert it from, I screenshotted this from the EGM review of the original Snake Eater back in 2004. Shane opens his section and goes, you know that feeling you get when you're watching the ending credits of a really amazing game? When you instantly yearn to start all over again and discover all the stuff you missed along the way. You'll be feeling that about 5 hours into Metal Gear Solid 3. I agree. And again, last night when it was ending and I was like, even in bed, and I was laying there, I was like, I'm feeling this nostalgia. I'm trying to chase this high. I'm reading these old reviews. I'm starting the old games. And it's like, I'm doing all this in some respect because I've been so starved for Metal Gear and I miss Metal Gear. I also miss this traditional stealth game. I don't know when I'll get another Metal Gear game again. If I do, it won't be a Kojima one, you assume. You know what I mean? But there was also this moment to this actual super chat where I'm noodling it of like, when I was playing Metal Gear Solid 3 and being reminded of, again, we keep saying it, but these puzzle box rooms, right? Where, you know, you walk, the screen goes into letterbox or whatever so that you can load to the next section, then it unletterboxes, you're in the new section, and that's the puzzle box of, there are 4 guys here and a guard dog over there. How do you want to get the objective? What do you want to do without getting an alert or evasion box? I was playing that and having so much fun, and I'm like, why the fuck am I not a Hitman guy? I'm like, this is just like, this is what inspires what Hitman had become with World of Assassination. I'm like, I gotta go back and fucking play Hitman.
I think one of the things that jumped out at me that this game does so well is the enemy AI, where there's something about it where it's simple, but like they're tuned enough to where, you know, you'll get into an encounter and like people will be hunting after you, right? And like there's a level of tension and a level of like, man, these motherfuckers just don't stop coming after me, right? Like they're smart, but also smart, I think, for what the gameplay scenario is, where your movement is limited enough. Like I think there's a good concoction here that the Konami/Kojima team cooked up, right? Where the constraints that you have as Snake, I think, work so well with how the AI is tuned. And I think that's the feeling that I have in regards to the Super Chat, in regards to where stealth games are at now, where I think there are stealth games, right? There's Dishonored, there's Hitman, there's these other things, but I feel like few games do enemy AI the way that Kojima games do enemy AI, where they're just fun to fuck with. And like when they fuck back with you, like it gets tough, right? Like,
yeah,
I like
mean,
how
again, like that will always be my Metal Gear moment of realizing how special Metal Gear was for me. And it was the demo disc for Metal Gear Solid 2 that came with Zone of Enders. My first thing I ever got off eBay because I didn't want to get Zone of Enders, got this disc, and it would be come home from school, fuck the homework, sit there and like, what am I doing in this demo? I'm gonna just go and hide. I'm just gonna pop watermelons. What, like, choking people out, throwing them down, hiding body, and like that then changed the way I played every other Metal Gear from then on out, because it is the idea of like, cool, what do you want? Like restarting the game last night, putting on the sneaking suit from because I held it at bay. I didn't want to like break my experience. Now I'm ready to go and just running up on fucking guys, choking them, you know, interrogating them, doing the like. Yeah. There's so much to it of like, yeah, they're not smart AI, but they're intelligently designed for the level you're in.
Exactly.
And to make the game entertaining and fun.
Dude, the level where you have to dress up as Rykov and be in the specific room so you can then open and go on to the next sequence. When I tell you, out of my 10 hours of gameplay, that was probably a full hour.
No, I'm right there with you.
Where the fuck is this guy? Every lab assistant seeing you.
Dude, all the fucking lab assistants.
Difficulty-wise, just like running into a lot of enemies and
running into a lot of enemies,
restarting a lot.
And then what the game? No, it wasn't restarting. Well, I restarted a few times, but it was more so just what the game asks of you, which is you had to be in the same room with this dude Rykov, who's a parody of Raiden from MGS2, and like. You had to have him, I think, knocked out in that room so you can steal his outfit. And so making all those things just happen at the same time and having to, you have to find Rykov. I think that's really the tough part, is getting him to appear, which I still haven't figured out how to do consistently.
It's like a Pokemon Snap level. Throw an apple at that wall.
Yeah, but like in all of that, right, it is me trying to get him to appear and then also trying to get into that room because it's locked unless you like pull through a lab assistant or you have the Rykov outfit or whatever, right? Like it's just a mixture of things that have to happen at the same time, and getting that shit to trigger was just tough. And like it was just fucking fun, like trying to figure all that shit out. And for me, that's like kind of the display of, damn, this AI shit, like these guys just keep coming. Like these guards just don't fucking stop.
I have a couple more super chats
real
here.
Quick, Andy. One thing that I want to bring up, because I made a note in my notes to bring this up, is we hear decades after experiencing these games and, you know, Kojima having done so many different things, now having 2 successful installments in a franchise post Metal Gear. We talk so much about his love for movies and his love for actors and his love for Hollywood and the good and bad that comes from that and all that. You play this game that came out in 2004, right?
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, goddamn, man, there's that love for movies shines.
Paramedic.
It's beautiful. I think it's so well realized in this game, and I think it is such a positive thing for it. Of Paramedic talking about all these classic movies, very tongue-in-cheek, talking about Godzilla, talking about it came from outer space, like tying it into the narrative of the game, but also just where games were at that time. All of that stuff I think is so cool. But then you add on top of that the reverence for actors, and this game, like now it's like, all right, cool, we have Guillermo del Toro and like all this stuff. But back then, it's David Hayter. You know, it's like every time we get a character pop up, we see their their real names.
There was
next
nothing
to
cool
it,
on
right?
that.
Josh
Yeah.
Keaton
Yeah.
As Ocelot, like all of these like
Was he
moments.
a Spider-Man?
My favorite Spider-Man from Spectacular Spider-Man. Yeah, like it's just I love it. Like it really, I think, adds gravitas to the whole thing. And the reverence for movies, obviously the actors and that stuff is one side of it, and just making references to specific movies. But the way this game is shot, the camera angles, like there were some scenes, the interrogation scene,
Oh, it's so good.
or not interrogation scene, the scene where the torture scene is perfect. Like it is shot so well. Like every single camera angle is like, oh man, the team over there cared about making this cinematic, not just because they could, but because they had passion and believed that they had something to say. And I think they did such a good job in this game in particular. And I think that really leans into it having Snake Eater as the theme song, the James Bond style, like the color, the vibe of it all. Metal Gear Solid 3 Delta feels like such a complete Metal Gear Solid package that I don't know any other of the games do because of the movie feel of it all.
Did you guys get Guy Savage? The Guy Savage sequence?
Yeah. Well, I got the. Well, maybe not. I played the. After I beat the game, I unlocked the Guy Savage Deltas.
But did you get? Well, when you played it back in the day, did you ever like trigger the game mid game?
I don't think so. No.
Because that was the thing that I remember from playing it as a kid, right? Where you do the torture sequence, and then after, when you're locked up, if you save the game, you get on a call with paramedic. Paramedic tells you about like I think a scary movie, and then if you cut off the game and load that save, it loads you directly into Guy Savage, which is how I did it when I was a kid, not knowing that was the thing that was going to happen, right? Where, for context, and I was reading this in an article that went up this morning about it, right? Kojima originally wanted, I believe, Galaga to be a minigame in the game, but then decided that they're going to actually put a demo for an unannounced game.
Gradius.
Gradius, thank
I'm
you.
reading Jordan Miller's VGC article about it. Yeah.
Yes. But he was like, actually, no, we're going to put this demo for a game that's unannounced. And it was like this weird, freaky action game, right? And after you do that sequence, you then like load into the game, and then Snake is talking to paramedic, and he's like, "Oh, I just had a nightmare because of this thing that you told me, right?" And so like it's meant to be like this nightmare sequence in game, which I got as a kid, and always like was a burnt in memory for me, where I was like, "What the fuck
That's
was
crazy.
that?"
You could just have that happen.
Yeah, like I was playing MGS3, and I just got through this harrowing scene, and now I'm playing this fucking action game. Like, what the fuck? And so in this version, they remastered it. It's called Guy Savage Delta. I forgot to trigger it in game, but then when you beat the game, they actually give it to you to just play
on the main menu alongside
on the main menu.
Ape.
And apparently, according to this article, right, like Platinum Games worked on this remake of it, and like I played a little bit of it. Super fun, super cool to have this version of the game here. But I think for remaking MGS3 Delta, the fact that you went as far as to remake Guy Savage is fucking insane, and also should be super commended.
Did you know about this, Greg? Because it wasn't until a couple days ago I was hanging with Michael Hyam and Bless, and Bless was talking about this. I'm like, I have no idea.
I had no idea about
what
any
you're
of this.
talking
No.
about.
Again, Metal Gear Solid 3 is a weird one for me. I'm nostalgic as hell for it because I have this like definitive memory of 2004, and I was trying to express this to my mom, and I don't think I did a great job of it. But 2004, I came home from Mizzou for Thanksgiving break, and I had pre-ordered this at the Illinois GameStop, EB, and Mom picked it up for me, and they talked her into a strategy guide, so I had it all there, and I played it in her condo. It's one of the only times between my parents splitting up and this that I played a game there that was like a big deal, and I played it there, and I played it back at Mizzou too. But it was one of those games that when I beat it, I really did just put it down. I was like, okay, cool. I didn't vibe with it. I don't want to come back. So no, I have so many blind spots on the intricacies and the changes and the little things you could have done to go over here.
Yeah, I had no idea about that minigame. When I saw it pop up on social media, I was like, what is? I don't even know what this is.
Totally. And Bless, something that blows my mind even more is after you guys were telling me about it, I was like, oh, I want to check this out. So I like YouTubed it, and the original game looks nothing like this new one from Platinum. Like, it's not just, to say a remaster is like, no, this is just a new
They made a new game.
experience. Like,
version of it.
it's pretty damn crazy. And yeah, I didn't experience it in the core game, but yeah, once you beat it, it's on the main menu, and I played for a bit, and it's a nifty thing. I was a little confused as what happened. Like, at a certain point,
Yeah.
like I was just kind of hacking and slashing, and hordes just kept coming, and I wasn't clear of like, is there an end or not? And like, I swear I didn't die, and the screen just kind of went white. And I'm like, I guess that's it.
Yeah,
So
and
I don't know
I
what's
believe that's
going
kind of
on.
what it was back in the day
Okay.
too, which is like, I think for the way that it's put in the game makes sense for it to be like, what the fuck is this? I don't know what's happening, and it turns out it's just a nightmare kind of thing. Super
Let's
cool.
end out the show with some of the final super chats. We have Demon Hacker with a $2 super chat saying, I'd pay $70 for a remake of Metal Gear 1 and 2, not Solid.
I would love that. I would fucking adore that, actually. That'd be so cool to be like, all right, cool. Like, we're doing this and, taking over the, what are they, MSGX or whatever.
MSX.
And that would require a full, like, recreation.
Oh, that'd be from the ground up. That would be like, we're fleshing out the
revision.
story for so much.
Look, it's not going to happen. Right? I think that is such wishful thinking. But I also think it's not out of the realm of possibility because you could use a lot of the assets created for this game. Like, and it is a very similar setting, and I don't think that. I mean, there's a lot more internal stuff. I think they could figure it out, though.
We have the Uncharted Wolf with a $5 super chat. It says, "I'm watching Ghostbusters at Alamo Draft House tomorrow. What should I eat to have the full Greg Miller experience?"
Get a dirty vodka martini. You want just Tito's vodka and olive juice. Get the chicken wings. Get the popcorn, and they now do the dill pickle. So you get a little Andy in there, the dill pickle popcorn. And then I would probably say get the cheese fries, too.
Beautiful. Have a super chat from Kebab says, how do options to go back to the old gameplay and presentation factor into the review and score? Do you act as if they aren't there?
I mean, no, it depends on the reviewer. You've listened to us talk for an hour. Unless you're on YouTube, then you didn't get any of it. I think it's just what you want it to be and how the experience you had with it, yeah?
Yeah. I think for me, it's like, I'll look at what is the way that the game presents as being like the way to play. That's always kind of like my go-to for reviews.
Defaults,
like what are the default
difficulty,
settings?
default settings.
Yeah, and I know that's not it for everybody, right? Like oftentimes people might change their game to easy because that's how they're gonna have more fun, right? Or they like to play on hard because they're gonna have more fun that way. For me, I'm always like, hey, the safest way I can review a thing is to look at what are the most default settings and play that way because I'm looking at that as the developers want me to play this way. But also, like, if my complaint is that I want to play with a fixed camera and they give me an option to play with a fixed camera, then that's not really an issue. So,
I love it. This has been the Kind of Funny Gamescast, everybody. Each and every weekday, we get together to talk about the biggest reviews, previews, and topics of video games live on YouTube, Twitch, and podcast services around the globe. If you love what we do, please support us with the Kind of Funny membership on Patreon or YouTube to get all of our shows ad-free, watch us record them live, and get a daily exclusive show. You can catch today's KFGD on YouTube or podcast services, and know that until next time, it's been our pleasure to serve you.